Good. All right, everybody, Ralph Havens here. How do you want to live your life? How do you want to live your life? That's a good question, whether you have more money than you could ever spend or more money than your family could ever spend. Good question if you've achieved a ton of stuff, or if you're still trying to get to your dream house or trying to figure out how to do what you love to do and do it in the world and make money doing it, or if even if you're struggling and haven't figured out what it is for you that would make life good. But it's a really cool question to ask. How do you want to live your life? And one of the interesting thing is there's a way that I found that's really it's just cool. It's just cool. Years ago, I'm going to tell you about it, and if you like it, you can try it, and see if it does something for you. If you're looking for more abundance, if it changes your abundance things, if you're looking for better health, if it changes your health, if it just helps you be more happy, not just, but if you get more happy from it, or if you have everything you want, but you're still not quite satisfied, maybe this'll help. So years ago, I was going to buy Jen her wedding ring, and so I had got the money together, and I also I had some speakers. It's almost like a little bit of vulnerable post here to even say this. It might be taken wrong, but I had some big loudspeakers for my stereo, and I was having some issues with it, and I thought it was that the speakers had gone bad, and so I wanted speakers, and I thought, well, you know what? I'll buy Jen her ring, and I'm going to buy myself some speakers, and because I love good music, and I'll tell you more about that in a sec, and which I think has a really good point to this whole thing. So hang with me for a little bit. And it turns out my speakers weren't bad. I brought back the new speakers, B&W speakers. I just love them, but this still had a problem with the stereo. And I realized, oh my goodness, I need a new amplifier too. So I got a new amplifier. So we joke, Jen and I do that. She got a ring and I got a stereo. So so one of the things that's cool about listening to really good, really, the music I love lots of different kinds of music, and listening to it on a really good stereo, especially in a house like this that was built 100 years ago and it has old growth forest and really good wood, a lot of history in the wood. You can position the speakers just perfectly in the big living room, and the wood reverberates the sound in such an amazing way that you can actually close your eyes and hear stuff as if it was a live recording. So you can hear, like when the guitar player moves his fingers on the strings a little bit, you hear that extra little sound, or you hear when they take a breath in between, they're singing, and you can hear when a table moves, if it's a live performance, or a chair, or somebody moves across the room, or you can hear where different instruments are, and you can practically hear all the little sounds, the little bitty sounds. And the funny thing is, when you're listening to music that intently, and it surprises you a little bit, like you hear a little breath, or you hear a little guitar player's finger move just a little bit on a guitar string, it does something inside you. You kind of go, oh, that's it. And then there's a note, and then it drifts off, and then there's a little space and before the next note, and you can hear every little bit of that drift off of the note and the bit of space, and then the next little note starts, and you hear the tone in somebody's voice, and when it cracks a little bit. And if you have speakers that aren't that good, or a stereo that's muddled, or a room that has a bunch of clutter in it, and the speakers are just piled up against the wall with a bunch of books all around them, something like that, it doesn't sound, you can hear the song, but it doesn't have all that little nuance. Now, the interesting thing is, there's a way to live a life that's really cool. My friend who does a lot of meditation, I was saying, oh, this is what you do, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, this is what we do. And he meditates for hours and hours a day. And what he says is, it's like being on the crest of creation, just as it's being created, always on the crest as it's being created. Kind of like, a sound, a tone, you hit a little ding and it goes up, the sound comes in and it crests and then it starts to go away and then there's silence. And if you go ding again, it comes in, it crests, and then it drifts away and there's silence. Kind of like the moon comes and goes and night comes and goes and day comes and goes and life comes and goes. And so what's interesting is if you can spend some time each day noticing what you notice. That's something that the Matrix Energetics guy, Richard Bartlett, told me years ago, to notice what you notice. That sounds like, okay, whatever. But if you think about it, that's really profound, It's like to actually notice it. And so, just like you're listening to a stereo, when I listen to my stereo, and it's just like, oh, this is the best. I hear all those little pieces. And so if you can spend a little time noticing the leaves moving and noticing the wind in your hair and noticing a cloud drift across the sky and noticing a little kid walking across the street, and then notice the sound your foot makes as it walks across some leaves, and notice a dog barking, and notice a train, and notice the car along the interstate, the sound of that. Or it's kind of funny, and you think like, well, what is that going to do? Well, you can try it and see what you notice, what it does. Because what I notice is when you're in that moment and you're just noticing the little nuances of every little bit, something really magical happens. And one of the cool things about this work that we do, and I say we, me, my wife, my clients, is when you play in the space that all this stuff is in, and playing is really key. When you play in the space, you can start to, I don't know how to say it, experience something, notice something, be aware of something that maybe doesn't have words. And when you do that regularly, when it starts to become a thing, and it's a practice that you develop and start to get where you use it more and more, stuff happens. And for my clients, what I've noticed is abundance shows up. And abundance in all sorts of ways. It could be health. It's health. A lot of times it's health. That's what people mostly come to see me for. But also abundance in life, ability to do what you want to do in life. Yeah, so what you might want to do is just notice how you feel after watching this video. Because there's something that's encoded in this, and it sounds all mystical and all, but it's kind of like how there's a lot of information in the air, like Wi-Fi. And so there's all these movies and all this stuff in the air. There's a way to touch different parts of that and access some information. And so that's what I've been playing with today in this video for you. And so what you might want to do is notice what you notice. And just takes a little time to notice the little things like that. And notice what you notice that's different. And let me know. Share this, put a comment below, subscribe, tell your friends, because stuff can change. And if it changed in the blink of an eye, would you know it? So notice what's different for you. Let me know, let us know, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, let's get out there and live. Let's really live. Bye now.